Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings. Good cup of tea. Now, some people will be aware that usually on this side there's a spotty dog, but only 3 days ago we acquired a rescued Rhodesian Ridgeback, who is lovely and she's sitting there right now, quite quietly. However, I'm announcing this fact because if you find that this video gets very jerky and keeps stopping and starting, it's because as I'm talking, a rescue Ridgeback has seen a cat or a bird, or possibly a horse go past, or maybe, even more likely, nothing at all, but she decides to bark. So in that case, my daughter has decided she'll edit out all the barking. She might leave one in at the very beginning, just so you can see why, and then she'll splice things together so that we can carry on. So apologies if it looks a little bit disorganised today, but basically that's because it will be. This time, just for once, I'm going to give you a little insight into the life of the Jecks. We've had not a very good year this year. We've had 2 friends in the village die, and rather sadly, in March, my father died too. Not that it's a cause for huge sadness. He was a very healthy, fit, robust old guy. He died at the age of 96 and a half. And he'd never really been ill in his life until the time that he actually died. He managed to take a grand total of 3 days off work in his life, which is not a bad record for anybody. Even better than that, he spent considerably longer enjoying his pension than he ever did investing in it. He took early retirement at 55, and as I say, he died at 96, so he didn't do badly, really. He was a lovely old bloke. I still remember his slitty eyes and his little giggle, which grew into quite a long and impossible to understand giggle whenever he was telling a joke. Quite nice that we can still enjoy so many of his jokes because we so rarely ever got to the punchline, because he was laughing so much at the thought of them, of the punchline when he started his jokes, that it was quite interesting to know whether you'd ever actually find out what the joke was about. I always used to like saying to him, after he got to about 70, I used to like to remind him of the saying of the Romans that those whom the gods love die young. He used to think that was quite funny because he was deeply irreligious. But he was resilient, he was robust, he was mostly polite to people. 2 of his daughters-in-law used to say that he was the nicest man they ever met. One of them said he was also the rudest. But, that's not bad. My brother's taken on that mantle now. I can still remember, though, when we used to go up to London, he showed me how to go commuting, basically. And on the tube trains, this nice, mild, calm, well-mannered gentleman suddenly became the devil incarnate as he shoved people out of the way. And the tube doors opened. He was there like a bullet, shoving everyone out, women, small children. He just trampled them underfoot. So, come on, let's play this place here. Pulled me in after him. It was very embarrassing. He was very healthy. He kept his teeth in good condition with a regular diet of mint imperials and minstrels. He loved chocolates. Usually he rather liked the odd drink as well. He always had a gin and dubonnet. He went up with 2 of my brothers to the Honourable Artillery Company a little while ago for one of his birthdays, and he was very proud of the fact that when the waiter served him his gin and dubonnet, the waiter said that the last person he had served that drink to was the Queen Mother. The old man was very proud of that, but he was very robust. I remember he was the most appalling coward when a needle came into view. If you went near him with a hypodermic, he'd scream the place down. But if you went... I remember one Christmas dinner as an example when he got up halfway through eating his turkey and left the room and came back about 10 minutes later. And it was only after I said, "What were you doing?" And he said, "Well, a bit of that tooth broke off and it was sharp, so I went and filed it down in the garage." It was that sort of chap. He was a lovely old fella. He was a nice bloke, and he'll be greatly missed, but it's the sort of selfish missing because he was such a fortunate fellow really throughout his life that there's no aspect of his life I think that was sad in any way at all. He had a good Second World War. He joined up early on, was one of the founder members of REME, the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. Yeah, the old man was one of the founders of REME. He was one of the people in charge of an important national security secret for the Second World War, which was he was one of the main people operating radar. Well, he was one of the first electronics engineers trained in radar and operated them all along the south coast through the Second World War. And because of that, when he left the army at the end of the war, he had missed out on his university opportunities, so he decided to get a degree in maths, and he decided to then go for qualifications with electronics and so on. And he managed to get his degree, because of the way that things were working at the time, he managed to get his degree in 2 years instead of 3, which was pretty good. It was even better because he did it in evening classes. After he had his degree, he decided he'd try to be an actuary and was qualified in 51 or 52, I forget which exactly. And as soon as he qualified, he started working for the Legal and General. And because he had qualifications as a mathematician, but also in electronics with his experience in the war, the L&G decided that they'd ask him if he'd get involved in computing. So he was the first actuary to be trained in computers, I think, but certainly in the IBM System 1. And he was in charge of the computers for the Legal and General from that moment until he retired at the age of 55. So he had a pretty good career there. He spent another 2 years after that going out to Kenya, setting up a computer system for the Kenya National Insurance Company, which he absolutely adored. He had a great time in Africa. He really loved it there. And then after that, really, he did nothing much apart from dote on all his grandchildren, of which he had really rather a large number. Anyway, so that was all I really wanted to say. It's been a bit of a strange year all round. You'll have noticed that the YouTube videos have been rather few and far between. We are hoping to get back to normal soon, but new dog and the effect of the old man's death has rather put paid to that. Anyway, if you want to see the last video, it's there. If you want to subscribe, it's down there. Put your comments down there, like it, share it, all that stuff. And thank you very much. I'm now going to run and stop the dog from barking. Thank you.